Greetings, upstanders. Dr. O here, and I watched the morning shows and saw Utah Governor Spencer Cox was the guest on some of these shows, and I want to be clear about something. Governor Cox is not the hero of this moment. He's just not. The person who's the hero is the person who snitched on the killer and got the chain going that would eventually lead to the killer's arrest. That's the person who should be praised as a hero. The FBI didn't do anything. So let's be clear. But when you listen to Spencer Cox, people are talking about he's the one trying to bring people together. He's talking about the importance of getting out of social media and getting off of phones and all of that. And yes, he's talking about where the nation should be going. But people aren't paying a deeper attention to what he's actually saying. And up until this point, at the time of this recording, he's not being factual. He's not telling the truth about everything that's going on. This man is still saying, and he's not being challenged enough on it. For one, he's saying that this person is radicalized in left-leaning or left-wing ideology. He is blaming left-wing ideology for the killing of Charlie Kirk. And when pressed on it, all he says is, well, according to his family members, he hated Charlie Kirk. You don't have to be a liberal to hate Charlie Kirk. You don't have to be a left-leaning person to hate Charlie Kirk. Have you heard of Nick Fuentes? Have you heard of Laura Loomer, who was scrapping disses towards Charlie Kirk, calling him, a charlatan just in July? Like, there are lots of Republicans, there are lots of conservatives. There are conservatives who feel like, and Republicans who feel like Charlie Kirk completely misrepresented their faith. So give us more, Governor Cox. You say there's an indictment or whatever going to be released on Tuesday. You say, well, his family member said he hated Charlie Kirk. That's not enough. The fact of the matter is, even though we haven't specifically heard from the shooter, what we've seen online so far points towards him being a groyper, which is our Nick Fuentes followers, points towards him being somebody who had that type of ideology, who comes from a MAGA gun-loving family. Now, of course, you can come from a family that represents one political party and turn into the other, but you're not giving us anything there. And then you want to go and I can confirm the fact that he had a trans partner, or a trans person, someone who was transitioning to woman. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything? Are there Republican trans people? Let me know. I believe that they are, right? So what does that have to do with absolutely anything? Why do you need to put that out there? Why are you putting it out there? Because it appeals to your MAGA base, because they wanted to blame it on a quote unquote tran or a tranny. I mean, come on. And has anyone ever heard of Caitlyn Jenner? Last time I checked, Caitlyn Jenner is a registered Republican, even though she describes herself as an inclusive Republican. So where does the fact that this person had a trans roommate or a trans partner, trans, girlfriend, like whatever, what does that have to do with anything relating to left-wing ideology? It's irresponsible, Governor Cox. And then on top of that, when Kristen Welker played Trump's comments from the Fox and Friends interview, when he was talking about, people who are radicalized in the, what they call the right, I don't call them the right because they're wrong. Like they want more policing, they just want education, they're just passionate about it. But these left wing guys, they're lunatics, they're radicals, they're violent, and they're well organized. And when Cox was asked about that, he said, well, Trump is clearly angry, just like he said about when she played a quotation, or maybe it was Dana Bash who played a quotation from Steve Bannon, who was criticizing him and calling him whack and weak. Well, he's angry, and Bannon has a right to be angry, and Trump has a right to be angry. How about we need to tone down the rhetoric? Isn't that what y'all say about people on the left? How about we need to do the work to bring this country together? And I wish Kristen Welker would have played the very next part of what Trump said, because he was asked by one of the hosts on Fox and Friends, what's going to happen to bring this country together? And what did Trump say? I couldn't care less about that. I couldn't care less about that. And Spencer Cox knows this. And the reason why we know he knows this is because right after he made his comments about Trump being angry, he said, we shouldn't be looking to a president to bring us together. We shouldn't look for a president or leaders or governors to try to bring people together. Seriously? Then who's supposed to do it? Obviously, those on the ground, those are all of us. Those of us on the ground are working to find common ground in these uncommon times. We're calling for peace, but you represent a party that doesn't want peace right now. You represent a party where, from the press secretary to the head of the FBI to all of these folks in the MAGA sphere, all these people want war, to the Jesse Waters of the world who want retribution and all of that. But you're getting praised because you say we need to get phones out of the classroom and get off of social media. That's not leadership. That's not leadership in any way, shape, or form. I wasn't a fan of Bush too, but after 9/11, he made attempts to bring people together. He visited mosques and so on and so forth, and and talked about that. Talked about go out and shop and support communities and stuff. Whether you like him or hate him, you can't deny that was something he attempted to do. Same thing with Obama after the shooting at the church. Going to the church, eulogizing, singing Amazing Grace. Like, whether you like presidents and their policies or not, Obama, Bush 1, Clinton, run down the list, you can't argue with the fact that there have been times where they tried to work to bring people together. Trump's like, I don't give a damn about any of that. And no Republicans are going to call that out because they're scared. So Spencer Cox is not coming out there with truth. Spencer Cox was the same person who said he wishes that this was happening, that this happened from someone else, from a foreigner, maybe perhaps an undocumented foreigner. He wishes from somebody out of town, out of state, someone that just didn't show that it was one of our own. That was his language. This man's not a hero in this moment, and the media needs to press him harder on that. They need to press him harder on making him call out Trump and other people on the Republican, on the MAGA side, who are calling for more violence, who are calling for retribution. The white folks in Huntington Beach talking about white men fight back. And you're just going to keep saying, well, they're angry. Well, they're angry. Where's the leadership? Where's the call for law enforcement to get involved with that? Dr. King said you can't legislate morality, but you can regulate behavior. Where's the calls for attacking that? The fact of the matter is, you do not have to only be somebody who leans left to hate Charlie Kirk. A lot of people did. And I don't know if Governor Cox thinks that he's being a hero in this moment, but quite honestly, his inability to call out all sides of this, his inability to hold Republican and MAGA leaders accountable for what they do, and his inability to provide, at least at this point, actual facts to this person's left-leaning ideology, and not even have a conversation about access to guns and how you believe you can walk in that university open carry, from what I understand about gun laws in Utah, and not even have that conversation, makes what he's saying somewhat disingenuous. And I wish that if he's going to stay going on these networks, that people would actually call him out for that. Or if you're going to do stories and have panels that talk about this, you would actually call out this hypocrisy, because it is hypocritical. Let me know what you all think. Please share this. If you like this, hit that like button. Also subscribe. Let's get up there to 25,000 followers. It'd be greatly appreciated. And let's just continue to call out the nonsense as we work to build a community where everybody can be celebrated and not tolerated. Peace.